All right, Math 9, Linear Block 2. Here we go. We're going to be doing simple interest. So, simple interest is basically when you put money into the bank, either investing it or getting a loan from the bank, which is where you get money from the bank to go and buy something. They will either give you interest if you're investing, or they will charge you interest if you are getting a loan. And interest would be money that the bank would either give you as a reward for them using your money to give to other people, or it would also be a penalty if you're getting a loan that you would have to pay back what you've got from the bank plus a little bit of interest. So, and the formula for it, and it's simple interest, there is something called compound interest, which is the next level beyond Math 9. The formula is I equals P times R times T. And once you know this formula, and if they ask you to do simple interest, this is actually quite a straightforward process, just a matter of getting the understanding of what all the letters mean. So I is your interest. That's the money that the bank is either going to give you or you're going to owe the bank, depending on what happens, if it's a loan or an investment. Principal, same spelling as Mr. Failauer for principal at our school, but it's different meaning here. The principal is the amount of money that you initially invest, or that the money that you're getting a loan, how much money you're actually taking out. So the initial amount in money. The R is the rate of interest as a decimal. So if it was, say, 6%, you would then change that to 0.06 by dividing by 100, because remember, percent is out of 100. And time, T, is always in years. So if they're tricky, if they put it in months, you'd have to divide by 12 to get it into years. If they put it into days, you'd have to divide by 365, because there's 365 days in a year. Generally, they're not going to be that sneaky, but just be careful. Make sure that's always in years. So we'll do 2 quick examples, and then we're done. So keep this formula in your back pocket. That's what you're going to have to write out and know how to use it. So here's a question about Frank. Frank, my buddy. So Frank, he invested $2,250 into a bank account that paid 6.2% interest per year. He invested it for 5 years. So how much simple interest did he earn? And how much was his total investment after 5 years? So Frank goes in with this money that he's got. Maybe he got it from working, or he got it from an inheritance, or he found it on the middle of the street. Who knows? He goes into the bank and says, "Here, bank, you hold on to my money." The bank says, "Okay, we'll hold on to your money, Frank. And on top of that, we're going to give you a percentage of how much money that you've given us, because what we're going to do is we're going to use your money while it's in here. So thank you for giving it to us." So this is kind of like a gift. And he's going to do this for 5 years. So simple interest, you write out the formula. I equals P times R times T. I'm using the dot instead of the time, so it doesn't look like an X. When you read this question, what is the principal? How much money did he put in to start with? That's the $2,250. That's the initial amount he put in. The R is the interest rate per year, which they gave right to you. They generally will, 6.2%. But you have to change that. This is the most important step. You need to change it to a decimal. So don't forget, divide this by 100, and you'll get 0.062, or just jump the decimal place over twice. That's just as easy. Time is in years, and they told us right here, 5 years worth. So there's the information. There's all the English. There's me extracting the math out of the English, and now I'm going to go and plunk all that in. So the interest equals 2,250 times the rate, 0.062, times the time, and I'm just using brackets as I always do when I substitute into a math formula. And watch what comes out of this. So 2250 times 0.062 times 5. And you end up with 697.5. And remember, we're dealing with money here. So this is 0.50, so 50 cents, and that's dollars. And that's the interest. So there's the answer to the first question. And what that means, that's a good thing for Frank. He's putting this money in the bank, sitting it in the bank, letting it sit there. The bank is then storing his money for 5 years. When he goes back to the bank in 5 years, he will get his $2,250 that he invested, plus he'll get the interest on top of it. So there's the interest. So the total will be the $2,250 plus the $697.50. So I go to my calculator and I'm going to add $2,250 onto that. So after 5 years, if Frank is patient, he will walk out of there with almost $3,000 worth. $2,947.50. Now the good news is, well, good news, bad news. This interest rate right now is really high. Right now, interest rates are really low, so you wouldn't be making as much money currently. But the bank also doesn't do simple interest. It will do what's called compound interest, which is actually better for Frank because he'll get interest on his interest over each year, and it will grow a little bit quicker than this. But that's bad though if it's a loan, because that means it would grow and you'd have to owe money. So anyway, that's simple interest. Last example will be we'll do a loan really quick. Here's a little question about little Johnny. Little Johnny got a loan for $6,000 because little Johnny wants to buy a moped, and his moped is worth $6,000. He doesn't have $6,000, but he really wants one. So he goes to the bank and says, "Hey bank, give me $6,000. The bank says, "Okay, Johnny, but you're going to have to pay 7.5% interest per year," and he's going to get this loan for 12 years. So calculate the simple interest after, oops, this should say 12 years. This should say 12 years. And what's the total loan after 12 years? All right, so simple interest, I equals P times R times T. What's the principal? How much money did little Johnny invest or get a loan for to start with? $6,000. There's his P, principal. Rate is always the percentage rate per year in decimal. Divide by 100 or move the decimal over twice, 0.075. Make sure that decimal's in the right spot, otherwise you'll get the wrong answer every time. And time is in years, 12 years. Take that information, kerplunk, interest equals 6,000, that's my P, times the rate, 0.075, times the time, 12. Go to my calculator. Or if I don't have a calculator, I can have good times and do that by old school multiplication, but I've got better things to do right now. And you get 5,400. Now that's the interest. So poor little Johnny, after 12 years, if he doesn't make any payments to the bank, the total loan for his little $6,000, he's going to owe the $6,000 that he went in to get originally, plus the bank says, "Johnny, you have to pay the interest as well that you've gained over that time." And so Johnny has to pay $11,400 back to the bank for his initial $6,000. So I hope his moped was good, but most people have to do that. When you're buying a house, you have to do this on large levels, because to buy a house for $400,000, not many people have $400,000 in their back pocket to go in, so you have to go to the bank. The bank says, "Okay, here's the money, but as time goes on, you're going to owe us interest." And you can imagine, this is only a $6,000 simple interest loan over 12 years. Imagine if this was a huge investment, and then on top of that, not compounded simply, but compounded, interest would grow really quickly. Okay, hope you're having a good day, and that is the simple interest lesson for today. Have a good one, and we'll hopefully talk to you sooner than later. Over and out.